Hello, everyone. Welcome to Bubble Talk. Thank you so much for coming. Today is not Saturday. It is Thursday, and it's at 8 p.m. I'm glad all of you have joined today. Today, what's special about today is not only just Facebook that we're live streaming on, we're also streaming on YouTube on the Espresso with Sky account. So welcome everyone on both of those platforms. Now, today, what is the bubble tea of the day? Today's bubble tea is Earl Grey milk tea. This is actually my favorite milk tea of all time. Right, Earl Grey. Now, the only thing I would change and be different about this one is I don't really like pearls that much, but I like the, what do you call it, the grass jelly or the herbal jelly. But this is, oh, it's so delicious. Oh, you know what, I could probably, ignore everything and just drink this right now. But everyone, grab your bubble teas, grab your coffees, your lattes, whatever it is, and let's begin today's Bubble Talk. Now, today's title, what's the title of today? It's, I think it's right here. What does it say? It says, Breaking Bad Habits. And this is something that everyone wants to do, right? Because everybody's got bad habits. And the thing is, we have bad habits, and we fail so miserably at breaking these bad habits. What happens? How do we know we fail them? Because every New Year's, we have New Year's resolutions, and it's always the same ones. Oh, I gotta lose 5 more pounds. I gotta lose 10 more pounds. I gotta stop doing this. I gotta stop doing that. And every year, we have the exact same things all the time. And we're just not very good at breaking these bad habits. So here's the thing that's kind of funny about human beings. I wanna, just think about this. In whatever we do, we always study, prepare, and we research things before we do it. Think about this. When you have a test, you always study before it. You're going to start a business, you start researching how to run a business, how to do small businesses, right? If you want to get a degree, if you want to get a good job, you got to get a degree, right? You're preparing for job interviews. Everything is about preparation. Everything is about researching first. But what's the funny thing? When it comes to breaking bad habits, no one studies it. It's so weird. It's like something we do every single year, the exact same bad habits over and over, trying to break every year, the New Year's resolutions, but in the end, we never fulfill them. Or sometimes we get to lose the 5 pounds, but then we gain 10 pounds later, right? So when you really think about this, why are we studying and researching everything else, but not how to break bad habits? When all of us, we know in our hearts, what do? Every year, exact same thing. Oh, I'm going to stop doing this. Oh, I'm going to stop drinking. I'm going to stop smoking. I'm going to stop doing whatever it is. I'm going to stop, I'm going to lose 10 pounds. But whenever we say these things, what happens easily is what? We're back there again, and we never think about researching it or going over it or wondering why it never works. And that's why I want to talk today about breaking bad habits. Now, the thing is, I'm not going to talk about step by step, do this. Why? Everyone can find those on the internet. You can find all those things. Today, I'm going to talk about what's up here. What do you need to prepare yourselves up here before you get into breaking these bad habits? So the first thing I want you to do is we want to study and we want to understand what a habit is first. So how do habits form? Not just bad habits, any habit, right? Habits are always forming in the brain. Okay, you got to remember this. It's the brain that selects habits. Do you know how it selects it? Very easy. 3 stages. A habit is made in 3 stages. The first one is there's a trigger, okay? So a trigger could be like stress, right? Stress is a trigger. And you're like, and then when you're stressed, you want to do something. And what happens is the next stage is trigger and then action or some type of habit you do, like whether some people are stressed, they smoke. Some people are stressed, they exercise. Some people are stressed, they eat, right? There's lots of different habits that we begin to form. And after we do something, if we feel better about it, what happens? There's a reward at the end, right? Like some people will, say smoking, after they smoke, they feel better and there's less stress. So what happens is your brain listens to looks at what just happened. They see the reward of not being as stressed as they were before. And then it says, remember that trigger and remember that reward. And what will happen is your brain will always look to do the exact same thing over and over and over again. So here's the thing that's kind of crazy. So we have all these triggers, and then we have this automatic habit that forms, and then we have some type of result from it. Now, here's the thing that's kind of interesting is, when we have bad habits, we know it's bad. It's like, honestly, does anyone who smoke know that it's bad to smoke? Everyone knows it. Right? If you drink like heavily, everyone knows it. If you're a little bit overweight or, whatever it is, everyone knows it's bad, but why do we still do it? And the answer is this. When you get stressed, like this is one of the biggest triggers we have is like stress. And you're like, I'm so stressed because my mom said this to me or my friend said this or at work it's so stressing because of my boss. When these stresses come in, there's something that shuts off in your brain. And what it shuts off is your frontal lobe or your prefrontal cortex. And the thing that this controls, what it controls, especially in this situation, it controls learning and motivation. Which means, if you're stressed, this thing shuts off. What do? You scream at someone, you yell at someone. Some people get violent. Some people snap back, say bad things about people. And even though you know it's wrong to do that, because you're stressed and that prefrontal cortex shuts off, what happens? You don't care. There's no restraint. No self-restraint. You're just like, well, what about you? You were the one that left the toilet seat up and I fell in the toilet. Right? And you start saying bad things about that person. There's no restraint. So you know you're wrong, but what's the problem is when we go through these stressful situations, the part that's actually controlling your learning and your motivation, it completely shuts off. Your cognition, the cognitive skills, it all shuts off. And this is why we're able to do bad things even though we know it. That's why, haven't you ever seen that when someone's really mad and they're like, hey, don't you know that's bad? They're like, I know, but I don't care. We've seen it all the time because sometimes we've done it too. And now you know because that's how a habit forms, right? Now, whether it's a good habit or a bad habit, let's take a look at today's first Bible verse is Galatians chapter 6, verse 9. I'm going to get my computer screen here. It says, let us not become weary in doing good, for at the proper time we'll reap a harvest if we do not give up. What is it? Is most of the time is people do not repeat and do the thing over and over enough so that it turns into a habit. You know what I mean? And that's why bad habits are easier, because it's easier to let go and easier to do the bad thing or the comfortable and lazy thing. And that's why you really don't even need to do things until the end. What you have to understand is habits are things that are continuous and repetitive, and they keep going and going until there's a harvest or you reap from that. Okay? So this is how a habit forms. Now the second thing you have to understand here is it's not just about understanding how a habit forms. You also need to understand yourself and the issues we deal with in our brains that we know is wrong, or we're not sure it's wrong yet. And I want you guys to change your perception a little bit. The first thing is you have to understand is how does your mind work, okay? How does your mind work? And here's an interesting thing is if you look at Luke chapter 19, verse 11, kind of even the Bible tells you what people are kind of like, right? So it says, while they're listening to this, he went on to tell them a parable. Why? It's because what? Because he was near Jerusalem and the people thought that the kingdom of God was going to appear at once. And this is showing what a human brain or the people or human beings are like. We like instant things. It makes us impatient. It gives us unrealistic expectations because you want to see the result right away. It's like, oh my gosh, I've been exercising for 4 days and I haven't lost a kilogram. You're not going to lose a kilogram in like 4 days, okay? Unless it's just all water loss and you starve yourself. One of the problems we have is, the first thing to understand about your mind is, you're thinking too quickly, you're thinking too impatiently, and you think that things have to happen like all at once. But it's not like that. You have to realize if you have unrealistic expectations like, oh, I'm going to start exercising and I'm going to have the body of a god in 2 months. You're kidding yourself. The first thing you have to understand is what? Is you cannot be impatient. Don't expect things to happen so fast. It's not, when you think about people, what would we rather have? Think about this. Do more people go to these nice restaurants or do most people go to fast food? Most people go to fast food, right? They don't want to cook at home, so go to fast food. They want it quick and easy but unhealthy. How about making money? How many people want to spend like 10, 20 years making a business and finally making money? Or how many people want get-rich-quick scheme, right? I want to get rich as fast as possible. How many people don't want to work but still make money? Everyone, right? It's this laziness and it's kind of this impatience we have in our heads because we're impatient. We want things instantly. We want it all at once. And it creates unrealistic expectations in our mind, right? Why can't you keep your diet? Why can't you stop smoking? Because you're in this unrealistic realm that is so extreme, you can't do it for very long, right? Think about this. We have willpower, right? Willpower only lasts for so long until finally you're out of it and you say, you know what? I can't work out anymore. right? Sometimes people have one of these two things. They either study but have no effort, or they have lots of effort but they don't study how to do things properly. And that's why a lot of people aren't very successful in this area. Okay, so the first part is what? Don't be impatient. Don't expect everything to happen at once, right? Don't expect the habit to break that quickly. Don't have these unrealistic expectations. Score the second part of knowing your mind. Second part is, people tend to, human beings, we tend to think very short term. Very, very short-term goals, and we have these end goals, okay? We're thinking way too short-term. What does that mean, right? I'm going to tell you, we're taking a look at a verse here. It says Isaiah 55, verse 8 and 9, and it basically says God's thoughts and your thoughts are different. And do you know what the biggest reason why our thoughts and God's thoughts are different? Because God is eternal. So his thinking is long-term, where we're thinking like, oh, what am I going to do tonight? Right? We're thinking always very short-term and very, these small things that always have an end. And you know why this is very unhealthy? Because when you say, I just want to lose 10 pounds, what happens when you lose 10 pounds? You start to binge eat. Right? It's like, I want to lose 10 pounds. You lose 10 pounds and you're happy and you just let yourself go. Because you think way too short-term. Right? So if you think about health, health isn't a short-term thing. Health is a lifetime thing. But we put health as in, oh, you know what? Well, I'm going to stop eating sugars. How many people can just stop eating sugar right now? You can't. It's very, very short-term. Right? And this is why when you think there's a goal, when you hit that goal, there's no motivation left. I want to lose 10 pounds. Well, what happens when you lose the 10 pounds? You're done. You finish and you go back to the way you were before, and then you have the same New Year's resolution the next year. And one thing that's very interesting about human beings, it's just a side note here. Don't you notice that when you do really well in something, you feel like it's okay to cheat? Whether it's your diet or whether it's smoking, it's like, hey, come on, man. I've stopped smoking for 45 days. So I can smoke one cigarette, can I? Or you know, it's like, what? I just worked out for 40 minutes. It was so hard and I sweat so much. So I can eat 12 pounds of candy. It makes no sense, but it's weird in our brains is we always try to balance it oh, I did this much healthy stuff, so I'll do this much bad stuff. It's really strange. The third thing about understanding yourself is this. In order for us to move, we need to be motivated. We have to be motivated to move. There has to be something that motivates us to just go towards something, okay? Now, if you really, really want to get motivated properly, there's actually two types of motivation. One is a pushing motivation, one is a pulling motivation. Pushing motivation, it has to do with your willpower. And it usually, not all the time, has to do with something negative. It's like, you have a test. Why are you pushing yourself to study? Is it because, you don't want to feel embarrassed in front of people? Oh, I don't want to, my parents will be so upset, or I'll have a really bad image, so you push yourself to study. Pulling is a lot different, and it's actually much more healthier. What is pulling? Pulling is when you have this passion and desire that you are drawn to it. It doesn't take willpower. It is something that is so, you desperately want it so badly that when you wake up in the morning, you get up quickly this is it, I want to do this. And you push yourself to do it, right? It's not even a push. You're drawn to it. Why? Because it's this internal motivation that you want so badly that you don't need willpower for that. Willpower is needed to stop smoking. Willpower is needed to lose weight, to do this, to break some of these bad habits, right? But we have to understand is we have two different types of motivation, and the best one is the one that you have an absolute passion towards. Okay? So let me just quickly get into this last part is give you some tips on, now that you understand the mentality of a human being, you understand the mind of yourself, and you also understand how habits are formed, let me just give you 3 pieces of advice that will help you to think of this first before you get into stopping your bad habit. So, how do we break bad habits? And I'll give you 3 pieces of advice. And it all has to do with the 3 pieces of your mind that I just talked about. Number 1 is this. Our expectation is unrealistic because we are impatient and we expect everything to happen quickly. Which means that the first thing you have to do is when you go on this journey of breaking a bad habit, your expectation has to change. Which means what? You see, if you're impatient and you have, let me give you, good example is when people want to go on a diet or when they want to work out. For some reason, like you hire you hire like a personal trainer, you change your diet, and you go so extreme. Like you're going way extreme. Like honestly, are any of you, like when you want to go on a diet, are you honestly thinking to yourself that you're going to become like an extreme fitness instructor? And in most cases, you're not. You don't even care. You don't care if you're not like big, Mr. Universe. You don't care about that. But for some reason, because you have this unrealistic expectation, because you expect everything so quickly, you get all the best like workout gear, and then you get like the best milkshakes for protein, you get the best part-time personal trainer, you get all the best things, but honestly, you really don't even care. You're not expected to be at that advanced expert level. It's because of your unrealistic expectations. You see, if you go too hard, you burn out. And if you burn out, you hate exercising. And you will dread going to the gym. And once your willpower goes out, you're going to stop. Don't try to change everything so quickly. You got to get rid of that extreme, unrealistic expectation. How do things work? Well, in Matthew chapter 13, verse 31, 32 says it's like a mustard seed. Slow and steady wins the race. Slow and steady wins the race. It's bit by bit. You put the seed in, you water it every day, and slowly it starts to grow until it becomes a tree. But how long does it take to become a tree? It takes a long time. And that's why you have to wipe that expectation of quickness and impatience, and you have to burn through it and say, you know what? This is something that my expectation is not right away. It's something that I have to switch that. This is something a little bit longer, and and say it's like a seed, step by step, every day. And this leads to the second one, is knowing what the end really is. Like, what does it mean, knowing the end? And the actual answer is, there is no end. What? Think about it. Think about it, like carefully. Why is it that you have the same New Year's resolution every year? Because even if you hit it, you lose it, and then you want to do it again. Which means it's way better that you can lose the 10 pounds over an entire year and do it steady and slowly and in an enjoying way, and you'll never have to do another New Year's resolution again, because you're not going to hate it. You're not going to hate exercising. You have to know that it's a long-term thing. You think weight, remember we talked about thinking too short-term? Losing 10 pounds is way too short-term, because once you lose it, you have no motivation. You have to think beyond I got to lose 10 pounds. Beyond I got to fit into my dress. Beyond I got a wedding in 6 months. Because after it's all done, you just start binging again, whether it's on chocolate or ice cream or candies, bonbons or whatever it is, right? What the level you want to reach is this. If you want to really, really break a bad habit, you need to get yourself into a don't instead of a can't, okay? You have to reach the level of don't. And I'm going to tell you what the level of don't is, okay? The level of don't is, there's a perfect one. Like a super fundamental Orthodox Jew or a Muslim. When there's pork in front of them, they just don't eat it. It's not in their mind. They're like, I should eat this pork. They just don't. They've reached that level where they don't care about pork anymore, right? They've transcended above it where pork is not even an issue for them. When they see pork, it doesn't bother them at all. They've stopped it. They don't do it. That's the level we have to reach, that level of extremity, but it's something that happens in stages, step by step by step by step. And what do we have to do? You have to think long-term, and you have to think that there isn't really an ending, okay? Just like the devout Muslim, just like the Orthodox Jew, and even devout Christians. There's something devout Christians won't do. They don't even think about it, right? And in the same way, that's the area you want to get yourself to. Now, let's move to the last advice today of before you're starting to break your habits, what kind of mindset or how should you be thinking? The last one is you have to think bigger. Think bigger with purpose. Why? Because like I said, if you think of losing 10 pounds, once you lose it, you're done. But what if it's you want to live a healthy life? What if it's even more meaningful and more bigger than that? What is that? I want to live to see my great-grandchildren, and I want to be able to play with them. That's even bigger. Then how much more would you want to be healthy? is not about losing 10 pounds anymore. It's about living a healthy life so that I can see my great-grandchildren. That is thinking bigger, beyond. Because even when I lose those 10 pounds, I'm still thinking about my great-grandchildren. And if I get to see my grandchildren, I'm so happy, but I'm like a little bit more. I'm already 75 now, but I can do it. Keep myself healthy so that I can even see my great-grandchildren. It's not about fitting in the dress. It's about being that healthy person, right, that doesn't get sick, that healthy person that will be able to take care of my children, that they don't have to take care of me. You have to think bigger with greater purpose. If you look at Matthew chapter 5, verse 12, one of the reasons why religion is such a forward and long-term thinking, religion is such a long-term thinking, like what you call lifestyle, is because it says, rejoice and be glad because your reward is where? It's after you die. And this is why it's such a long-term thing. Everything that you're doing in this life is leading towards what's going to happen after. And because there's such a long-term thought, you're not thinking of just the job you get. You're thinking of being a righteous person, which is far beyond my job, far beyond my family, far beyond my friends, my coworkers. It's way beyond those things. It's beyond my life. And that's how big you really need to think. You can't think in terms of pounds. Like pounds, these small goals are leading you towards your greater purpose, your greater reasoning. Can you imagine that? If you really, with all your heart, that passion was to see your great-grandchildren, can you imagine how much healthier you'd live, how much healthier you'd eat so you can see your great-grandchildren? You have to think bigger, with purpose, something that is beyond everything that you can actually think about. All right? So, remember, you need to find that motivation, that purpose, that big why. Why am I doing this? You have to think about that in such a big and passionate way that it motivates you inside, that it draws you towards it. And when you can find that, when you think that big, then breaking your habits becomes a lot easier. Well, this last thing I bring to you is, if you think of just these small things, it's really hard. Because once you mess that up, you're like, oh, my life is over. Why? Because that was your biggest thing. But if your big thing is so much further, then even when you make the mistakes, it's okay because it's a long journey. Okay? So I hope this helped you guys out today when we talk about breaking bad habits. And it's a little bit different today. Why? Because we're not talking about step one. Write down, this is what people do. Step one, write down all your bad habits. Step two, what are the triggers? Step three, how do you avoid the triggers? No. It's far beyond that because a lot of us have already tried those things. The problem we face with is not here, what I'm writing on the piece of paper. It's up here. It's the way that we think. It makes us break our breaking of the bad habit, if that makes any sense. Okay? I hope that today's Bubble Talk really helped you guys out about breaking bad habits, more of the mentality and the mind part of it. And I hope that you guys too will be able to break your bad habits, not tomorrow, not next month, not even by the end of the year, but think of it very long term. So those of you who are on Facebook, make sure you like the page for Bubble Talk Live. And those of you, if you want to see all the other Bubble Talks I've made, there's a lot of Bubble Talks that are not actually on the Facebook page. Just come over to Espresso with Sky, and we'll put the link into the chat room, and then you can make sure that you subscribe, but you also have to hit the notification bell. Why? Because you will get a notification the moment we start streaming live. Even when you forget, you'll be notified.